Hey guys, I wanted to make a quick little intro to this video and say none of the code you're about to see works, and I'm going to scrap all of it. So I tried making a layout with Semantic UI using their grid system to try to copy the Slack design like this, where you have a sidebar on the left and then all this stuff here. And it didn't quite work out very well. I had trouble getting the grid to work, and I didn't like how Semantic UI had it set up, so I kind of just rage quit. And this is what my end product looked like right before I quit. And you're gonna see me basically make this monster, but I'm gonna basically start all over from scratch on making the layout. So this is just a PSA of what not to do when styling and creating things with Semantic UI. But I'll be redoing this with grid, CSS grid, or maybe Flexbox, and it's gonna work a lot better. If you want to see me suffer through creating this layout, keep watching. If not, come back tomorrow where we'll actually code this up much nicer. Hey guys, we're going to be building out our layout for our Slack clone, and this is the page we're going to try replicating. So we're going to be using Semantic UI Components for this, and I was trying to break out this layout into basically a grid that we could make. And what it looks like is we have a sidebar which cuts off here, and then a bottom little input bar, and then a header here. So basically 4 different components: a messages block, a header block, an input that we put down here, and then this little sidebar. So we're going to try making this, and Semantic UI has a lot of little components we can use to replicate this. So they have a sidebar we're going to be using, they have an input field, and then also a header we're going to use. And then I'm not quite sure how we're going to do the messages, but Semantic UI has some really good ones for messages, so we can try some different ones out and see how it looks. Alright, so let's get started. So I'm going to put this in a new route. I'm going to call it viewTeam.js, and I'm just going to set up this route. This is going to be a private route later, but right now I'm going to make it just a regular route so it's easy to view and create the layout. So view team, and now in here I'm just going to say import React from React, and I'm just going to export default, and we're going to put our stuff here. So I'm thinking I'm going to make a components folder, and in my components folder I'm going to create a team sidebar, team header, and team input bar. Well, that doesn't really make sense. Team, I guess, message input. And so for our sidebar, I'm just going to copy the components over from Semantic UI, and then we can go back and change them to our liking. So I'm going to copy the sidebar example they have into the sidebar, and then the header, I'm going to copy their header. We'll just grab a regular header here. Or, you know what, this is a bunch of them. Is there just one where there's a 1? This is fine, I suppose. And we only really need 1. And then message input. I'm going to worry about creating the message cards at a later date. And let's grab, and we want a fluid input bar. So, do they not? Here we go. So copied all those in place, and now my view team, what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the team sidebar from components / team sidebar, and we're going to do this for each one. Now we can't just, we can't just mash these all in here. Like if I just put a div in here, it's not going to look good. Team sidebar, team header, and message input. I don't even know what this is going to look like just adding them like this. I assume really ugly. View team view does not exist. This is supposed to be team view. No, this is supposed to be view team. Oh, down here I put team view. View team. Okay, there we go. Not team view. Alright, so this does not look anything like how Slack is looking. Our little sidebars right here, and we got our header and our little bars here. Nowhere near what we want it to look like. And the way we're going to get this to lay out in a nice fashion is using a grid component from Semantic UI here. And so the first thing we're going to do is say we want the sidebar over here and all our other content on the right. So if we come back over here to grid, let's create a basic grid. And we don't really need an image, and we don't need Lodash for this. So I'm going to create a grid here instead of using a outermost div. And you'll notice what I want to do with each one of these components is make them presentational only. This is to separate my view logic from my actual GraphQL logic and requesting stuff. So we're going to be creating some container classes in future videos. So here's our grid, and then what I'm going to do is we're going to have a sidebar here. So grid.row. So this is all going to be one row. You know what? We don't even need to say row. I'm just going to say column. And let's say this has a width of 1, because we don't really want the sidebar to be that big, right? And then the rest of this is in the other column. Alright, we don't need that. And now the width of this, I'm going to say maybe is 10. And let's just see what that looks like. Okay, so our sidebar is over here on the side. I think it's a little bit too small. I'm going to give it more of like a 3. See how that looks? That's looking a little bit better. Now, I also don't want this sidebar to like toggle on and off. I just want it to always be there. So we click on the sidebar. And you know what? This is, now that I think of it, because this is we don't even care about having this be toggle on and off. If you notice on the Slack, this is static. I think making this into a grid makes more sense than actually using the sidebar component now that I'm looking at this. So I almost think let's do a grid for this. Don't even bother with a sidebar. So I'm going to delete this and copy their grid example in here, because I like the idea of doing a grid better since it's going to be static. Okay. So we're going to say team sidebar. I'm going to export default team sidebar. Okay. So this is going to be a grid, and let's see what we're going to take as props. So as props, we need the name of the I guess the name of the team, the name of the user, and then the name of the channels, and then all the people they can direct message. So team name, username, channels, which should be an array, channel names, and then direct messages. Direct messages. So now we're going to construct a grid. This is going to be one column and then multiple rows. So we're going to have one row here, another row here, 3 rows, and then inside of those we have more rows, right? So we're going to say grid.row. Three times. And here for now I'm just going to put team name and username, and we can see how this looks, and then we can come back and change it. So channel names, I'm going to map this. So for each channel name I'm just going to return that channel name. I don't even know if it lets us do something like this. Wrap it like this. I think let's make make this a paragraph tag, I suppose. And because this is the thing, we need to wrap it in that because it's a JavaScript string. I think that looks good. So this is our closing brace. I'm just going to space this so I can make sure this is all good. So channel names.map. So we're going through this array of strings, and we're going to say for each channel name we're going to display a paragraph tag. Okay. Oh, there just be one more. There we go. That's all good. And of course, at the very top though, it's also going to just say the word channels. And then our last one here, it's going to be direct message. So channels, direct messages. And then we're going to do the same thing with mapping. So direct messages. We're going to loop through the DMs. This actually is not really a direct message. These aren't messages. There's probably a better name for this. We'll say people to DM. I don't know if this is a better name, but I like it better, I think. People to DM, so person, and we'll display that person's name. Actually, let's say instead of people, users. Users to DM. That's the best. Okay, so here's our little sidebar. So over here in our team sidebar, for now we're going to pass in dummy data. So team name is going to be Bob. Bob is cool. And our username is going to be Bob the First. And our channels are going to be general and random. Okay, and then people we can direct message, users to DM. We have Slackbot, myself, so Slackbot. We'll use a different user, Bob the First. Actually, I don't know if you can have spaces. Yeah, I think you have spaces in your name. Bob the First. And let's have Bob the Second. Okay, so let's take a look at our sidebar. And it looks like we're like a little bit off the page here. So I'm gonna just inspect this guy and see what's going on. And we can see here's our grid. And the width is 82%. I think we just have, I think this could add up to 12. I don't know if it says here. Usually grids are 12 in length. or number of columns you can have. Because I have 3 and a 10, I'm going to try making this a 9 and see if it fits on the page better. Nope, it doesn't. I don't know why that's going off the page. And I also don't know why this is not expanding. So here's a grid, right? We have this and this. This guy's not taking up the full width. Like this column, this div here, I want to be all the way over here. So this is 18%. So what, 18.75 plus 56? Does that even add up to 100? I don't think it does. What I just have, I thought I pasted it. So 18.75 plus 56.25. I don't know why this won't add. Okay, there we go. Plus 56.25. So we need 25 more space. So I'm gonna call this 5. Give our sidebar some more room. And it's still off to the side. I wonder if it's just because I'm using random paragraph tags. I think it is. I think instead what I need to do is use something else. Okay. Also, let's add a container around this whole thing. So if I come over here to container, okay, it's just container. That might help as well. Container / container. And let's make this 15. And what we could do is we should be able to make this like one of them expand to fill. Okay. Now we have this. So yeah, we are like growing past. I don't know what the heck our grid is doing now. Our container is giving us hecka padding on this. So on my team, I'm now going to just put H1s, which is pretty much what the header is. And let's do an H1 here. And these might be better as like H4s. I'm going to make them all H4s. So H1 to H4. Oh, I didn't do it globally. H1 to... Here, we'll just do find and replace. H1 to H4. There we go. Let's take a look at that. That looks a little bit better. And I want to copy also. This will help us with debugging, so we can see where the width of the container is. So we need to make all that text white. And I just want to get the color of this guy. Oops. So I'm going to come over here. Chrome DevTools allows you to inspect this. So I got the color of this guy. So I should be able to, my grid, does it say, is there a color attribute? If not, there should be just like a style I can override. Class name, I can add a class to it. Nope, doesn't say. So I'm going to just try doing a style here. And I'm going to say background color is equal to that. And that did not work at all. Man, I am not I'm not liking the way this is looking at all, and I'm not liking the constraints of Semantic UI. What I think I'm going to do is actually just redo this whole thing using CSS Grid or Flexbox and use some styled components, because I think that'll go a lot smoother. I still want to use this guy, but setting up this sidebar and styling these is difficult. I could just be bad at using Semantic UI though. It could be that too. So I think I'm just going to rage quit and switch over to CSS Grid, because I really want to like change the color and stuff and make this look more like Slack. So I'm going to stop this guy right here and restart him using CSS Grid. So thank you guys for watching. Let's give this thing a little change up.